Mrs. Elba?
Here.
Mrs. Gator?
Here.
Mrs. Moomin?
Here.
Mr. Freeman?
Here.
Ms. Mitchell?
Here. We're a little out of order, but we keep moving. We are at item 1.3, approval of tonight's agenda. Dr. Rock, did you have anything that you needed to add?
No.
Mr. Jolly, did you?
No.
Board, I would like to add an item as new business to section 9. It's the Northeast Ohio Regional Recognition Program. I have a motion on the floor to please add that to the agenda.
I'm sorry, you said that was the Northeast Ohio.
Northeast Ohio Regional
Recognition program.
Recognition Program.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept that under item 9 for new business Northeast Ohio Region Recognition Program.
I second that.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. If there's no more additions, Dr. Rock, could you please call the roll for tonight's agenda?
Mrs. Gator?
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mrs. Elba?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, vote passes 5-0. We're on item 1.4, the approval of minutes. We need a motion on the floor to approve June 5th, 2019, our special meeting, June 26th, 2019, our regular meeting.
Madam Chair, I move to approve 1.4 approval of minutes. We're looking for June 5th, 2019 special meeting and June 26th, 2019 regular meeting.
May I have a second?
I second.
It's been moved and properly second. Is there any discussion?
So just a comment for me, I was not at the June 26th meeting, so can we separate
We can
those?
separate them out. So I'm going to rescind the motion, and then we'll have to vote on these individuals. So may I have a motion for June 5th, please?
Madam Chair, I move that to make a motion for 1.4 approval of minutes, I'm looking for the actual one date, June 5th, 2019 special meeting.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. And are there any discussion about the June 5th meeting minutes? If there are none, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mrs. Elba?
No.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, motion passes 4-1. Now, may I have a motion on the floor for the June 26th meeting? And if I recall, there's only 3 of us that are able to vote, because Ms. Mumin and Ms. Gator were both out of town.
Madam Chair, I move for 1.4 approval of minutes, looking for the June 26, 2019 regular meeting.
I second it. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Rock, can you please call the vote?
Mrs. Elba?
No.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, motion passes 2-1. We're at the point in our agenda where we are at public participation, and this is where we invite the public to, if you've given Dr. Rock a participation card, to come to the podium, state your name. You've got 3 minutes, your name and address, excuse me. You have 3 minutes to share your concerns, questions, or any other comments with us. So, Dr. Rock, do you have any public participation cards at this time?
I don't have any cards.
All right. We are going to move on then to item 1.6, superintendent updates. Mr. Jolly?
Yes, I'd like to defer my time to Carletta Fellows and the Safe Routes initiative by the city.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you to the board for allowing us to come in this evening and speak about the Safe Routes to School plan for Warrensville Heights City School District. And thank you to the parents and teachers who are here this evening. My name is Carletta Fellows. I am the lead on the Safe Routes to School plan for the city of Warrensville Heights. Tasha is here as a lead for the Warrensville Heights School District. And we also have who's going to be presenting tonight to talk about what is safe routes to schools for the city, for Warrensville Heights School District will be Kate Menning from NOACA, Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Transportation Coordinator. Okay. And then we also have David Short here from ODOT, which is Ohio Department of Transportation, who will be talking about the state's role in this process. So I'm going to defer right now to Kate, and then Kate will let Tasha come up and talk about where the school is with the planning process.
Thank you.
And I also want to just thank some of our partners here tonight, which is Ali Boyd. We have some great partners who are on this stakeholder team. I'm sorry. We have some great partners who are part of this stakeholder team. Ali is representing the Cuyahoga County Library, Warrensville branch. We have the YMCA. We have the Cleveland Clinic. We also have University Hospital, RTA, Aldersgate. Am I missing others? There's a plethora. Health department, and so there are plenty of those who are on this team to really put together a robust plan for what safe routes to school will look like, specifically for the new schools that are coming online next year. Okay.
Thank you, Board, and thank you, Superintendent Jolly, for allowing us to use your time to talk about the Safe Routes to School program. I just wanted to start by thanking everyone who's here, and hopefully you can all become involved in this Safe Routes to School planning process. I wanted to give you just some information about what Safe Routes to School is. It's a program that is international, national, statewide, but really is a locally driven program that focuses on improving safety, access, and conditions for students to walk and bike to school on a daily basis and to assist their families to do so as well. In Ohio is a very robust program. They support planning, infrastructure, and non-infrastructure projects and programs through an up to $4 million grant, annual grants that are awarded to K through 5 community schools within communities that serve kindergarten through 8th grade. So resources that they have include education resources, training resources, support materials for both communities and school districts, and non-formal education programs like the YMCA's that can assist in creating safer environments, educating students and families and the general public on how to be more safe around walkers and cyclists in our community. Safe Routes to School has been around since 2005 through the national transportation bills that have been passed over the years. It continues to be supported through those bills, and since 2006, between 2006 and 2019, Northeast Ohio has had a lot of representation in the Safe Routes to School programs. I just pulled up a few awards throughout the years. These are total awards for communities in our area. Infrastructure awards are those awards that are for sidewalk improvements, for intersection improvements, for safety, for signage and other safety conditions in and around the roadway area. Non-infrastructure is a unique part of this program because most transportation funding does not include the education, encouragement, and enforcement actions that we need in order to create a really well-rounded and safe environment in our community. So these are just some of the dollar amounts that have been attracted to this region over the years. And David could speak a lot more to those actual awards, but we'll just keep going. Just going over what Safe Routes to School is as well, it really is a partnership between community, jurisdictions, interested sectors and parties, as well as the schools, to develop a school travel plan that helps address the 6 E's of safety. These are transportation safety E's that actually are also addressed at the state level through the state's strategic highway safety plan, as well as other state and national planning. So those E's are engineering, which is the infrastructure component of plans and awards. Education, which provides travelers knowledge, mostly students, but also families, the knowledge and skills to be safe on the roadways. Enforcement encourages travelers to obey safety laws, but can also enforce safety programs. Encouragement provides the promotion of walking and biking through fun events like Walk to School Day and Bike Rodeo type of events. Evaluation is built into these plans to help measure the effectiveness and make changes accordingly to that plan. And then equity balances all transportation options and the access for travelers to be able to get from place to place in these communities. So a school travel plan process is what we are currently in to develop a school travel plan that will make Warrensville Heights and the school district eligible for Safe Routes to School funding, hopefully in the next application round that opens in January of 2020. School travel plans help identify and develop implementation actions that address these student needs, these transportation safety and connectivity issues. They are a framework that is based on those 6 E's. It requires multi-sector participation, which you'll see in the next slide, the just wealth of community engagement that is going on through different sectors that are participating in this planning process. Public input is key and very important to making this plan a true community plan, something that your families, that your community want to see happen to create better, safer environments. So there will be, there's actually another public meeting that will be next week at the library that will really be a community engagement meeting. We're very excited about it. We want to identify policies, procedures, and actions that the communities and the schools can take in order to achieve these goals. And then approved STPs, again, are eligible for ODOT Safe Routes to School infrastructure and non-infrastructure funding, as well as other possible funding. So the key here is to develop a plan that is approved by ODOT that then can be considered as the plan that you can apply against. The overall timeline that we're looking at is to complete this planning process by December of 2019 so that it can be submitted and approved to ODOT so that it will be eligible for the January 2020 ODOT Safe Routes to School funding round. So we've been doing a lot of work over the past 6 months, and we're in the home stretch, but we've still got a ways to go to do the development of the actual plan. We have been, these are some of the stakeholders that are currently involved. You can see, Carletta mentioned, the library has been a great partner. The YMCA has been almost to every meeting that we have had. Health is really represented by university hospitals, the Cuyahoga County Board of Health, the Cleveland Clinic, all of the jurisdictions that are within the footprint of the Warrensville Heights School District are represented on this team as well. So administration as well as engineering and police, fire, EMS, all have a role to play in this plan. And then the Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency, the agency I work for, as well as the Ohio Department of Transportation, and Tool Design Group, which was awarded by the Ohio Department of Transportation as a consultant to assist this process through its completion at the end of the year. So they were very fortunate to receive that additional award of assistance from a well-respected engineering and planning firm in the nation. So this is really exciting, I think. And we're going to hear more about them in the next meeting. So we've developed a vision statement. That was one of the first things we wanted to do as a stakeholder team. This vision statement that we want the Warrensville Heights School District and invested community members, partners, and stakeholders seek to bring awareness and empower the entire community by creating a Safe Routes to School plan. This plan will foster community pride, improve health and safety, encourage walking and biking, and promote sustainable communities and active lifestyle for students and residents. So we felt that was a really strong statement to create the kind of environment that we want to see and a vision for what we want to see in our community. Our timeline, again, pretty robust. I've just got some key dates and some actions and times based on the steps that we need to go through, those 7 steps that we need to follow in order to complete our plan on time. We're in that public input meeting process. We'll be developing a draft soon and then bringing that back to the community in draft form to get more public input on the actual actions that we've identified to help create safer environments. So there'll be another, hopefully, meeting that you guys can attend and your voice can be heard there as well. Some of the things we've done from a data collection process in the past, NOACA as well as ODOT can provide proximity and crash maps for all types of school travel plans. In addition, NOACA provided heat maps, which really show, especially where the new school is going to be, the new elementary school, and then eventually the middle school is located, where concentrations of populations live and in relation to those schools. So this was the first type of data we wanted to see as far as where students live, where they are coming from, and where we feel would be safe, routes that we need to identify in order to improve. Drilling down even further into the infrastructure components, walk audits were done for both the middle school in May and then that new K-5 location. We did a 2-mile walk within the neighborhoods where we identified via those proximity maps high concentrations of student populations, and really took pictures and identified issues that we saw that maybe this plan could help change and alleviate and create better, safer environments. We've also done some data collection at the school, and Tasha's going to give you a little update on that just at the very end. But parent surveys were conducted in May. Travel tallies in the schools themselves and the classrooms were also conducted in May. And then principal arrival and questionnaires were distributed. So we've really tried to get input from many different sectors and areas of the public, as well as the schools and the populations that they serve, because those are the keys to making sure that we get our students to school on time and, ready to learn. Some upcoming engagement, I've left some of the past public meetings that we've already conducted, but I want to point out the general public meeting that's going to be held next Wednesday, August 28th, from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Warrensville Heights Public Library. There are flyers outside on the table that Tasha brought. Please pick one up and share this information with anyone who really you feel would want to come. And there will be there's an activity that we will be doing after a brief presentation on identifying key issues, particularly on infrastructure, that residents would like to see change, that they're, what they feel are some issues that could be remediated through this plan. And then we will be coming back with there will be a draft public meetings and public comment period, and then a final presentation of the plan to councils and school board and the school board for support before, hopefully, December. So we've got our work cut out for us. If you have any questions, if you want to get involved, personally or professionally, please contact Carletta. She is the key here for this particular plan. You can also contact Tasha through the schools or myself at NOACA. And that's all I have right now. Does anyone have any questions? And I will also lend the floor to Tasha to just give an update on what the schools are going to be doing in the next month or so.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
My name is Tasha Pettigrew. I work in the HR department, but I also assist with the Safe Route to School travel plan. Just a quick update. As of today, for the parent surveys, we had collected 74 surveys, but that was only in the month of May, which was a very busy month. School was ending. However, we do have a new plan to collect more surveys where we'll be working with the parent liaisons to collect the surveys, as well as the surveys are available on a link on the website where parents just can automatically go to the parent section to complete the surveys. The teacher tallies, I will be personally meeting with all of the staff. I'll be attending staff meetings to discuss how we will collect the data, and in that way we can get the support and the buy-in from the teachers, because we do have to collect 1 week of data. As far as our plan for the parent meeting on the 28th, I have also been working with Kayla, who's our communications coordinator. She will be sending out a social media post. We will also be doing an all call to all parents, as well as we will be doing a student distribution of the flyers by sending one home to each child. And then lastly, as Kate stated, that one of the fun initiatives, we will be participating in the National Walk to School and Bike to School. So they have 2 dates The first date is October 2nd, 2019, and then the second date is May 6, 2020. I will be working with Kayla to make sure that we advertise and really promote it so we can get a lot of people involved, parents, grandparents. We can really try to promote it and just make it a really great event and to encourage biking. That's all that I have for now, but I will continue to update you as more information comes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Very quickly, just wanted to say a few things. My name's David Short. I work for the Ohio Department of Transportation in the local District 12 office, which is in Garfield Heights. We're responsible for Cuyahoga, Lake, and Geauga counties. One of the roles I serve there is the Safe Routes to School Coordinator, and through that role I've been working with these three wonderful women who are very enthusiastic and doing a great job in preparing the school travel plan, which is essential to open up the competitive grants that we'll be taking applications for beginning in January. So from January to March, applications come in from across the state. A group of us get together in Columbus to evaluate the applications, and based on how those applications meet the countermeasures that are described in the school travel plan that's being prepared, we award funding to those districts. That's where you saw those numbers for various districts in the area. They've had school travel plans. They've been checking off those countermeasures by filling in applications every year. So I just want you to realize that we're working with this team. They are doing a great job with their stakeholders, and you're blessed to have them. They'll be coming back to you looking for some official support for that plan later this year, and that'll be important to putting it on our radar that I assume will make it very easy for us to award some funding for this plan. So just wanted to say that. Any questions?
Yeah,
With the
I'd
Ohio
like to
Department of
open the
Transportation?
floor. Thank you so much, David. Right, David? I'd like to open the floor to the board if there's any questions to the team that presented.
I don't have any questions, just a comment. I have been seeing the flyers, and I already put it on my calendar. I will attend. I don't know if any of the other board members want to go, but I will.
Can you move your mic down? We've been getting
told you.
complaints that people can't hear us on YouTube. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, I do have a question. As far as getting the application in, are we looking as far as the vision for the 2020 school year to have this in place?
As far for funding awards, sorry, I'm very loud, so you probably hear me anyway. So for funding awards for that application round, David can correct me if I'm wrong since it is an ODOT award, but awards will be, applications are due in March. Awards are usually announced in June, and then non-infrastructure awards really go almost immediate. You just have to go through the paperwork process. Infrastructure awards are scheduled based on the ODOT calendar,
I
which
got
is usually about 3 years out.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. So getting that award gives communities times to do the types of, planning and engineering
I got
that
you.
has to be established before you can actually, shovel the dirt. So. Yes. Yes, maximum awards for infrastructure are $400,000 a year. And then infrastructure is on a sliding scale based on the population of your community. So is it?
Be anywhere from 15,000 to 60,000
Yeah.
per year for the non-infrastructure support for programs like the bike road system.
Exactly.
And the application process comes from?
Comes from ODOT.
Okay.
It's an online, completely
got
online
you.
application process. There usually is some type of webinar or instruction in December or early January from ODOT, and NOACA supports that. I send out emails and attend that on my own so that I can help communities. You generally do need an MP, if you are within an MPO, you will need a letter of support from us for infrastructure application. So you would contact me for that, and we would get that ball rolling.
What's an MPO?
A metropolitan planning organization, that's what NOACA is. Sorry.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Actually, I'm just excited about the program. Generally, how long does it take?
To do the plan,
To do
or?
the plan. Did you say
Um,
3 years?
Oh, no. 3 years is for actual, if you're awarded
Infrastructure.
infrastructure funding to
Okay.
do work along the roadways and that type of thing. It takes about 3 years, depending on ODOT's schedule of other projects to get that money to the communities, but that gives the communities time to do the planning.
Okay.
Non-infrastructure, you will get much sooner, and in fact, should be spent within like a 12 to 18-month period. So you can start planning things. If you write something in your application and are awarded non-infrastructure for activities in the fall, that is entirely possible to happen. So the planning process itself can take about a year. We are on a more accelerated timeline, but because we started around March, but we've really been working hard, so hope it'll all get done.
I do have one question, and I don't know if it should go to you or to Tasha. From the data that we've collected so far, what has our community stated our needs might be?
Well, really the data is just
Mike.
So the data is truly just asking, we're just trying to find out how many kids walk to school, how many kids bike, and how many kids travel through the bus system. So that's really what our data is stating, and then also like where they're, where they live at.
So at what point will we then try to assimilate information to find out what the community feels we need?
Okay, so currently we do through Tool Design. He has accumulated some of that data and disaggregated it so for presentation on the 28th.
Okay.
So it will be talking about what the parents from that data that has been collected so far has said about what they perceive as safe and why it's not safe and why they are not allowing their children to walk and ride. And so it gives us a plethora of information that you'll be able to see on the 28th.
Thank you.
Also on the 28th, at 10 o'clock at the Warrensville Library in North, we will be having a stakeholder meeting. David from Tool Design, again, who is our consultant, will be presenting as well, and we'll be talking about that data there before we present to the public.
And that's at 10 o'clock?
That's at 10 o'clock at the library. That's the stakeholder meeting and our planning meeting.
Thank you. Thank you for a great presentation. Sounds like a good program, and it was good to see the other districts, our cohorts, actually participating. I think anything that we can do to ensure safety for our students as they're coming to and from school will benefit the community and the district as a whole. So thank you all again for coming out this evening, and thank you for your patience as we were working to get you on the agenda. All right, thank you. All right, we can move on now to item 1.7, the treasurer's update. Dr. Rock?
Okay, for tonight, we have two very important resolutions on the agenda associated with our new construction for the new buildings on the master facilities plan. So I wanted to provide some background information and an update of where we've come from and where we're going. So the first thing is master facilities plan finance. Finance, what is finance? It's how is the district going to pay for the new facilities of the school community? Well, we're paying for it in two different ways. We're using existing revenue streams, and we're also using a combination bond and PI levy that we passed last November 18th. On phase one, and now this is complete, so this has been completed already. The financing has been completed. Phase one is a new pre-K to 5 elementary campus, and this was financed with existing revenue streams. We did $17.7 million of certificates of participation, and the state is going to kick in $8.3 million. For phase two is a new 6 to 12 campus. This is financed by the bond PI levy that we recently passed in November of 2018. The school district portion is $68.5 million, and the state portion is $12.2 million. coming to a total of over $80 million. So if we further develop the portion of the school district, 68.5 million, how is that being divvied up? So the first part, in December of 2018, we took advantage of a favorable tax situation for us and favorable interest rates, and we were able to go and issue $8.8 million of bonds. They were bank-qualified bonds. And the majority of that $8.8 million was used for Phase 1 budget overruns, additional learning space that we discovered that we needed in Phase 1, and then some other Phase 2 projects. The next portion is what we're looking at tonight. There's a bond resolution for tonight for us to proceed, and the resolution is for just over 39 million. And then after that, there will be certificates of participation later in 2019 for 20 million, and then there's a remaining amount that would be financed in the future. That's how it adds up to 68.5 million. Also tonight is the resolution for the OFCC, where they have approved the project and given us conditional approval to move forward. Now, the reason I had a asterisk next to that 20 million, it's very unique right now. The certificates of participation of 20 million, right now, the interest rates are so favorable for the district that this may generate more proceeds than $20 million. And our bond counsel, Rick Maniloff, will expand on that. And in essence, in a simple summary of this, lower interest rates equal more proceeds for us. More proceeds means that we could build more. So that's all good. Lower interest rates is good for us. And now I'd like to turn it over to our bond counsel, Rick Maniloff, partner from Squire Patton Boggs, and he's going to expand on the resolution tonight and all the entry and the background information with that.
Thank you, Dr. Rock, President Mitchell, members of the Board of Education. Good evening. It's good to see you all again. With respect to the financing of the district's facilities projects, Dr. Rock has well explained where we have been. That sets a good context for where we are right now. I guess the only additional comments that I would make to what Dr. Rock has presented is that there's a resolution on the table for consideration and adoption tonight relating to the bonds. And then in a couple of weeks, we're shooting for September 4th. There will be another resolution before you to authorize the issuance of certificates of participation. So it's a lease-based financing. It's the same kind of financing that Dr. Rock mentioned relating to the pre-K through 5 building that was done in 2017. That provided the financing structure for that particular building across the street, and so we would be proceeding in the same fashion on September 4th. So there's going to be 2 resolutions. This is the first of the 2. And after the 2 resolutions, this one, the bond resolution, the next one, the certificates of participation resolution, are both adopted. We will go forward and obtain a rating on the both the bonds and the certificates of participation, and then we will go into the market to obtain the financing, settle upon the interest rates. And as Dr. Rock has mentioned, the interest rate environment, we could not have foreseen this, and sometimes it's great to be lucky. And in this case, I would say there were things outside of our control that led to a fortunate situation here. Some things outside of our control that we pushed for instance, was the July 11th conditional approval by the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. We thought that was going to happen sooner. It didn't. We pushed for it. Dr. Rock actually went down to Columbus to testify in support of legislation in an attempt to get this approval from the Facilities Commission. And then the controlling board, the state controlling board, approved this particular project, the Segment 2 high school project, just a couple of weeks ago on August 5. Those things are out of our control. It was in the control of the state government, but because of the delays experienced there, we found ourselves in an amazing interest rate environment, better than we could have imagined, and that's going to be good on two fronts. Number one, as Dr. Rock mentioned, when we go into the marketplace to sell the certificates of participation, the lower the interest rate, the more money we will get, because there is a constant revenue stream to be derived from the 4.5 mills that the voters approved last November for permanent improvements. That's the PI levy piece of this is going to quote unquote leverage the lease purchase obligations. So there's a constant stream of revenue coming in, and so the lower the interest rate, the more principal we can get. It's as simple math as that. And so that's great. There's more money then for the project. And number two, with respect to the bonds that are being issued to finance this, the lower the interest rate, the lower the cost to the taxpayers. They are ultimately paying the debt service on the voted bonds. And so we find ourselves in an excellent interest rate environment, going to be good on two different fronts, for the taxpayers and also for the project costs. So that's the basic schedule. Bond resolution, the bond resolution in front of you, as Dr. Rock mentioned, authorizes the issuance of up to what is currently the maximum that we could possibly issue under the voted authority, given the prior issuance of $8.8 million last December. And so we may issue all of it. We may issue all of it as federally tax-exempt bonds with some federally taxable bonds. There are federal tax considerations at play. Bottom line, we're going to issue as much as we possibly can, probably late September, early October, and at that same time, we will issue as many certificates of participation, COPs, as we possibly can as well at that time. And that should supply all of the money then necessary to not just finish off Segment 1, the elementary school. The financing for that is largely in place, but to proceed forward with Segment 2, the 612 school, as well as locally funded initiatives such as ball fields and the stadium and administrative offices and bus garage. Those kinds of LFIs, locally funded initiatives, are in this package as well, to be financed with the proceeds of these two bond issues. So that's kind of the game plan, and we're all on the financing team excited about where we stand with respect to the interest rate environment and the structure that we have put together to go forward. And again, it wouldn't have been possible without the incredible support of the taxpayers last November. It was astounding when you look at other statewide statistics, just how supportive the taxpayers were of this particular bond issue and the PI levy that's leveraging the COPS. So this couldn't have happened without the taxpayers. So I guess with that, I'll pause and answer any questions that you might have relating to the financing of the anything, I guess. The pre-K through 5 building, I'm knowledgeable about that. I worked with you all to do that. So if you have any questions about that prior financing and how it went, as well as the future financings relating to the 612 project, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Or are there any questions?
One, so
Yes.
is there any difference with what we're doing with the second one? Did I miss that, or we're doing it COPS again? So it's pretty much still the same financing model?
It's a
Is that correct?
combination of COPS and regular bonds.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So the Yeah, it'll be about 20 million, might get up to 23 million, we're thinking, of COPS, and that financing structure is the same kind of structure that we used to finance the pre-K through 5 building. But we need to supplement that with bonds. And it's on that front, we'll be issuing up to 39,061,046 as authorized in the resolution, and that'll go again not just to the 612 school, but to the locally funded initiatives that I mentioned. And I did omit to say that 26,015,235, 26,015,235. It's on page 2 at the top of the resolution. Is the bonding authority, the issuance that you need to have in order to leverage the state dollars. So 26+ million will be applied to the co-funded portion of the project. The state, although the state controlling board has signed off and said, yeah, you have access to state funds now, we're good with that. It's not going to happen until we actually put money on the table. How much money? 26,015,235. That's one thing that has to happen. The other thing that has to happen is the other board resolution that Dr. Rock is introducing tonight, prepared by the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission, and that is a resolution to accept participation in the Classroom Facilities Assistance Program for the 612 school. So those two pieces of the puzzle are necessary, or we don't get a project agreement and we don't get any state money. So that's the importance, I guess, of those two resolutions that are part of Dr. Rock's report.
And what we've called that 26 million, we've called it the local base, the base building that we have to put in. And then after that, it's all LFIs.
Right.
So I have a question.
Yes.
And I'm going to need my memory recollected here.
Sure.
So most of the money that has been spent is part of the bond and from the OFC, correct? And from what the state had given. That has started the process across the street.
Across the
With
street.
The buying of the building and starting of the groundbreaking, all of that, the money's come from there, correct?
The money for that project has come from the 2017 issuance of COPS, the Certificates of Participation, plus state money. So once we put up our 17+ million, we put it on the table, the state said, okay, let's go. And they put up theirs, and the project proceeded on a co-funded basis in accordance with the established percentages. So that's in the rearview mirror.
So
That is
all of
correct.
those- Okay, just want to make sure.
Yep.
And all of those funds are going into the general fund, and then they're going into a certain account that is how it's being spent.
The general fund is not receipting any of the money related to the construction of the elementary school. The money from the state, and also the money that was that comes from the issuance in 2017 of the COPS, all goes into a fund called Fund 010, or the Fund 10, not the general fund, but a separately identified fund. And there's a local share and a state share. There are accounts within that particular fund, so it doesn't touch the general fund. Now, perhaps you were referring to how we pay the debt service or make the lease payments on the COPS, and as to that, that's a separate question. But where the proceeds are housed, they're housed in a construction fund.
So they're housed in a construction.
Yes,
fund.
correct.
So when the board purchased the store across the street, that came out of construction funds and not general funds, correct?
Dr. Rock would have to answer that.
That'll come out of construction
It
funds.
came out of construction funds. So
Okay.
if the sale of the store comes out of construction, why does the demolition of the store come out of general?
No, that'll come out of construction funds also.
Okay,
It's all part of the project.
okay. Well, and I'm asking because your agenda says general fund. So it's getting me a little unsure if we're saying construction or general, and you saying it doesn't come out of general, but our agenda says general. So I'm a
It's
little.
put into general fund for initially, until all of these board resolutions. I can't spend this money until we actually
No,
raise it.
I understand
So
that.
it's in the general fund, and then we have a board resolution where we reimburse and transfer the money out of the general fund into the construction funds.
So-
We have that resolution.
Well, and that's fine, but that's not what I'm asking. So I get that. So the resolution is gonna be done today, but the voting will also be done today on the demolition. So that's why I'm asking. I'm looking for clarity.
Yes.
So I just need to know which one is it coming out of, because he's just said that we can't do general, it has to do construction, so just want clarity. And then my second question for
Well, let me
you-
answer the first question first
Okay.
for clarity.
Okay,
It'll be in the general fund just as a parking spot. And once the funds come in for construction, we do a transfer, and the board will see that transfer, and you'll board approve it, where we transfer money out of the general fund into the, well, actually, it's the money is transferred from the construction fund to reimburse the general fund. We've done this before on the 2017 layer of finance. Does that clarify for you?
so my second question is, with the additions that came about, I guess about a month ago, of some unexpected foreseen things that we had to vote on, will that change taxpayers' money that they will have to pay? And I'm asking that question is because earlier today, I was at the high school, and I was talking to some people that were up here, and they were concerned that they were at some meeting, I don't know what meeting they were at, but their taxes were going to be higher than what was originally put out there. I couldn't answer that question, so I did tell them that we had a meeting tonight, and I would ask. So is it not gonna change? Will it change? Will it go up? Will it go down?
Yeah, I can answer that, and Dr. Rock can chime in as well. When the voters approved the ballot issue in November of last year, they approved a permanent improvement tax not to exceed 4.5 mils. It'll never go higher than 4.5 mils. That's, the voters approved that. That's constitutional. It can't go higher than 4.5. And with respect to the bond issue, the $48.5 million bond issue piece, because it was a two-part ballot question, the Board of Education cannot go higher than $48.5 million worth of principal. That again would violate the Ohio Constitution and laws. And so actually the opposite is true, that namely that when we went forward last November with the bond issue, we were assuming certain interest rates. We had to assume certain interest rates that we had to give to the county fiscal officer for purposes of the county fiscal officer telling us what's the average millage rate probably going to be on this. We had to give him an interest rate. Well, the interest rate right now is a lot lower than what we thought, and so what we thought we were going to have to levy in taxes is actually going to be likely lower than that. So the bottom line answer to your question is we can't go more than 4.5 mils on the PI levy. We can't go higher than 48.5 million on the bond issuance, and because interest rates went down, the taxes will necessarily be lower. Now, if there are other things added to the program, we have to find a way to finance those outside of what the voters approved. And there are various structures that might come into play there. You could pay with cash on hand. You could leverage your PI levy, your permanent improvement levy, into a tax anticipation notes. There are techniques that can be used to get more money should more money be needed, but you can't go higher than what the voters approved.
Okay, so my final question
Yes.
is, on average home, $75,000. What is a tax person's rate estimating to be?
Yeah, and that, I don't know, Dr. Rock, if you, Michael Priscilla is taking his child to college tonight, and your financial advisor, and so I don't know if you have that statistic, Dr. Rock, but I need to stay in my lane and defer to Michael Priscilla. He'll be here, I hope, in 2 weeks for the COPS resolution, but it's an apropos question to be sure. I don't know if you have the answer in my. Okay. All right.
We covered that over and over during the levy campaign.
Well, no, I'm asking because there's also been changes. Regardless of what we've covered, people say your taxes are going to be A, but then things occur, just like stuff occurred over here, unforeseen spending, and now it becomes B. So if you tell me that my taxes, and you at the time said it was based on a $100,000 home, I don't know too many homes that are still valued at $100,000 in Warrensville. And so it is based, I'm just saying 75,000, and that's a push to say that for 75 because of the influx of back and forth. So regardless of what you said 3 months ago or 10 months ago, it's gonna change for this month. So I'll wait for him to return.
Well, we'll bring it back, but we did the data on 60,000 and 100,000 because 60,000 is our average sale value here. But what Mr. Maniloff just said, it cannot go above the maximums. So,
Well, I want to say that it's nothing that we can do on the project that's going to increase people's taxes, because the money is already set. So the money's already set. What we would have to do if something happens in the project, we would have to take from the project. So that would be, we would have to reduce classrooms, or reduce gym size, or reduce the auditorium. So the money, if anything happens during this project, is taken away from the project. We cannot go back out, get more money. We got a set amount, whatever that set amount is the set amount. And then after, if we have these issues and like with the ground and so forth, then we have to take away from the project. So it's subtraction from the project, not going back and levying more money because the money is set. It's a set amount that we got.
exactly. And the bottom line is those numbers have not changed, but I could bring them back again.
And
It
if
was
I may,
$20.41 a month. I've got my talking point. Is what we estimated for $100,000 house.
and we should and can ask Michael Priscilla for the $75,000 home as well. And hopefully he'll be back here in 2 weeks when we present the COPS resolution, the companion COPS resolution. But I would add to Superintendent Jolly's comment by saying that if there are unexpected expenses, cost overruns, certainly one way to deal with that is to downsize the project. The nice thing that has happened here is that because of where interest rates are, we may well have, we may be able to issue more dollars than we thought we were going to be able to issue to deal with those kinds of circumstances without increasing the burden on taxpayers. That's the benefit of where we are. And as well, tying one last loose ends together, Dr. Rock mentioned that there was a $600,000 unissued authority. That's in our back pocket, just in case there are increases in the co-funded portions of the 612 facility. That's another way that we can deal with the cost overruns, again, without increasing taxpayers' burdens.
All right, thank you so much, Rick.
Sure.
Thanks, everyone, for the questions.
No.
Thank you.
All righty, now we are at item 2. I can have a motion on the floor so that we can approve by consent agenda treasurer's report and financial recommendations for items 2.1 through 2.3.
Madam Chair, I move the consent treasurer's report and financial recommendations. I'm looking for items 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3.
It's been moved and seconded. Board, is there any discussion?
Do we need to read them or not?
So, yeah, we have to do, I'm sorry.
We have to do them
do
separately.
separate.
Read the
All right.
resolution.
Yes.
So we have to rescind the motion, and then we'll do it individually, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3.
Madam Chair, I'd like to rescind the motion for the consent treasurer's report and financial recommendation. Make a new motion for the consent treasurer's report and financial recommendation, looking for item 2.1.
May I have a second?
I second.
It's been moved and properly second. Board, is there any discussion on 2.1? If not, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. We are now going to move to item 2.2, excuse me, the OSFCC Phase 2 resolution. We can have a motion for that one.
Madam Chair, I move the consent treasurer report financial recommendation 2.2 resolution OSFCC Phase 2.
Second?
You need to read that?
I don't think so. We don't
Do you need to read that?
He. Okay. All right, so I'll read the resolution. This is a resolution authorizing the school district board to enter into a resolution of acceptance in the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission Classroom Facilities Assistance Program, Segment 2, Final. Whereas the Board of Education of the Warrensville Heights City School District, Cuyahoga County, met in regular session on August 21st, 2019, and adopted the following resolution. Whereas the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission made a determination in favor of proceeding with a segmented facilities plan for classroom facilities under ORC Section 3318.03 and conditionally approved a scope of project Segment 2 for the school district. Whereas the Ohio Controlling Board approved the determination and conditional approval of the commission and approved the amount of the state's portion of the Segment 2 final projection cost. And whereas the commission has certified the state's conditional approval and reservation of funds for the project to the school district's Board of Education pursuant to ORC Section 3318.04, based on the following funds. State share, $12,242,464. Local share, $26,015,235. Total budget, $38,257,699. Whereas the 120-day time limitation pursuant to ORC Section 3318.05 has not lapsed since the state's certification of conditional approval. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Warrensville Heights City School District, Cuyahoga County, Ohio, that the conditional approval as granted by the Commission for the classroom facilities Segment 2 final project be hereby accepted in accordance with the provisions of ORC 3318.05. The end.
Thank you, Member Gator. Board, is there any further discussion on this beyond what we had when Mr. Maniloff was here? If there's none, can we call the roll, please, Dr. Rock?
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Now if we can have the resolution read for item 2.3, the bond financing.
Madam Chair,
Do we need to read the whole?
no, he got.
I start some of the highlights.
Awesome, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'll read that resolution for the bond financing. The Board of Education of the Warrensville Heights City School District, Ohio, met in regular session on August 21st, 2019, commencing at 6:30 p.m. at the Warrensville Heights High School, room 154, address 4270 Northfield Road, Warrensville Heights, Ohio, with the following members: Tracy Mitchell, Michelle Elba, Ray Freeman, Melissa Gator, and Barbara Muman. The notice requirements of the section 121.22 of the revised code and the implementing rules adopted by the board pursuant thereto were complied with for the meeting. Resolution. The resolution providing for the insurance and the sale of bonds in a maximum aggregate principal amount of $39,061,046 for the purpose approved by the electors of the school district on November 6, 2018. Whereas at the election held on November 6, 2018, on the question, among other things, of issuing bonds of the Warrensville Heights City School District, Ohio, the school district, in the aggregate principal amount of $48,500,000 for the purpose stated in Section 2, and of the leveling taxes outside the 10 million limitation imposed by Section 2 of Article 12 of the Ohio Constitution to pay the debt charges on those bonds and any anticipatory securities, and the requisite majority of the voting and the question voted in favor of it, and whereas pursuant that the vote authority and resolution to number R11-18-168 adopted by the Board of Education on November 9th, 2018, and the certificate of award executed pursuant to the resolution. The school district issued $8,800,000 school improvement bonds, Series 2018, dated December 28th, 2018. And whereas on July 11, 2019, the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission, the commission, conditionally approved the school district's participation in classroom facilities assistant program, CFLAP, for the project generally consisting of the renovation of addition to the elective demolition of the existing high school building to constitute buildings and facilities to the house grades 6 through 12, and the abatement and demolition of the specified elementary school buildings and existing middle school buildings collectively. Segment 2 project, and whereas on, excuse me, I don't need a seat, read that. Whereas the Segment 2 project agreement to be executed by the commission and the school district after, among other things, the school district meets the local share obligation for the Segment 2 project of $26,015-235, and whereas as a result of the decrease, the aggregate amount of the voter-approved bonds that may be issued, pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code Section 133.06, shall be the local share of the Segment 1 project, generally and principally the construction of the new elementary school building for the grades pre-K through 5, and local share of which is $17,676,388, and the local share for the Segment 2 project, i.e. 1/2 of the $43,691,623, or $21,845,811, totaling $47,861,046, of which $8,800,000 have been issued as described above, leaving $39,061,046 unissued. And whereas this bond finds and determines that the school district shall issue the bonds described in Section 2 to provide funds necessary for meeting the local share for the Segment 2 project, as well as locally funded initiatives. And
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Is there any additional discussion? If none, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
We just need to move and who seconded.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah, we do need to do the motion. Accept that resolution.
Say how second.
I moved.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Now we
Sorry.
can call the roll.
That's
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Great things are ahead for our district as we move forward in our construction projects. We are going to move now to item 3. We need a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda items, superintendent's recommendations and presentation for board action, administrative staff, item 3.1 and 3.2.
Madam Chair, I move the consent superintendent recommendation and presentation for board action, administrative staff, looking for items 3.1, 3.2.
May I have a second?
I second.
It's been moved and properly second. Board, is there any discussion?
So, Mr. Donnelly, I have a question.
Yes,
Does this person have any social service experience?
no, they do not have social service experience. They do have experience with working with students, they have experience with adolescents, and they met the requirements of the job description.
So there was no consideration to even change the job description to even include that?
There was consideration. We had already had the job description out when you did mention that. And as you can tell, we do have the opportunity to hire another one if you go further in the agenda, because one did resign.
So that's my second question. So 3.2 says you're hiring him, but then 4.1 says he's quitting.
Yes, that's what occurred. He resigned after 3 days for personal
Oh,
reasons.
so you hired him and then he quit.
Yes, ma'am.
So do we not want to change his dates of hire?
Well, our intentions was to hire him for the entire year. He resigned after 3 days, so I don't know if we should change the dates.
He was
but I guess
contracted for the dates
He
stated.
was contracted, but he would only get paid for the 3 days. he
3 days,
served.
I say you have to pay it.
Yeah, we put him on the agenda because we wanted to pay him for the 3 days he served, which was convocation in the first 2 days of school.
I'm done.
Are there any other questions, board? If none, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba?
So I have a problem with us hiring somebody with no social service experience, but because the person is already into effect, I'm gonna say yes.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes, but I'm sorry, may I make a quick comment, or would you prefer to finish?
If we can call the roll, I mean, just finish the vote.
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, vote passes 5-0.
So I didn't have a question, just a comment, and this goes to Mr. Jolly and his staff. What I'm seeing is a trend here. We are we are promoting employees from within, and I think that that's good for morale, it's good for productivity. Employees are gonna be, more motivated to help us produce higher achieving students. So I want to encourage you guys to continue looking at career paths for our employees so that we can continue retaining our employees. So I just wanted to say that. I think it's great that we've been doing that.
And I do want to kind of address the culture. The district has invested in social workers. We have also partnered with Family First. So a lot of the social work aspect of the work is being covered by those two areas. The culture coach, our view is, works directly with students. When there's issues that pertain to social work issues, then we have the Family First as a resource. We also have the district social worker. So we want to look at this position as one as a conduit between teachers and students, students and administration, as an advocate for our students and able to provide pathways for them to be successful. So while we do respect the social work background, and that is something that we will seek as we interview in the next round, but we will not allow that to discredit a person who might have that skill set that that's missing at some of our schools, that a student or young man or young lady without a teacher or it being an adult in the building, that they have this person who can fill that void. But I would agree social work will help, but we do have other avenues in our buildings that can address that need.
Correct. Thank you, Mr. Jolly. If there's no further discussion, next on the agenda is number 4. We need a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action certificated staff, item 4.1 through 4.7.
Madam Chair, I move the consent superintendent's recommendation and presentation for board action certified staff. We're looking for items 4.1 through 4.7.
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Board, is there any discussion?
No.
If none, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator?
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mrs. Elba? Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Next on tonight's agenda, we need a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action classified staff, and this would be items 5.1 through 5.9.
Madam Chair, I move the consent superintendent recommendation and presentation for board action classified staff. We're looking for items 5.1 through 5.9.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Board, is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to recognize that there's another promotion of an employee from OC, the middle school custodian, who's going from a cleaner custodian to the head custodian. This is the second, or actually the third building that we've used. Our people have been promoted, so I just wanted to acknowledge that. That was something that when we came, OC mentioned that that many of their members, as Ms. Gator said, didn't see opportunities to grow. And we believe that we have some great employees here. They're working very hard, and when those opportunities come, they are earning the position. So I just want to recognize OC and the hard work their employees are doing, and they are taking these positions. They're not taking them, but they are earning the positions because the interviews are competitive. They're not handed anything for these young people. I mean, these employees are earning the position. So to Mr. Clemens, I know he's not here, but he earned the opportunity to be the head middle school custodian.
Well said, thank you. Dr. Rock, can you please call the vote?
Yes. Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mrs. Elba?
Yes.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Next on our agenda is item 6. I need a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendation and presentations for personnel and programs, and this will be items 6.1 through 6.13.
Madam Chair, I move the consent superintendent recommendation and presentations for personnel and programs looking for items 6.1 through 6.13.
May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Board, is there any discussion?
Yeah, I do have a question about the donation. So, Mr. Jolly, when a company makes a donation to us, do they have to fill any paperwork out? Is there anything at all? No, that we just take the donation, put it on the agenda, and that's it?
Yeah, that's basically the process. We just take the donation. We do send a thank you note to each company to submit something, but that's our process now. They give the donation. We document what the donation is on our agenda, and then we send a thank you note.
So the only reason why I'm asking is because I guess, I just want to make sure that when donations are coming to the district, that they are being used for district purposes. So how do we address that for future donations? Something to think about. I would like to put it out there, though, that I think that it's something that we need to look at. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Gator. Is there any further comments, questions? If there are none, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba?
Yes.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, motion passes 5-0.
Madam Chair, I do want to address, and I want to thank Superintendent Jolly. Our vans look wonderful. We've got a lot of compliments about them. It will help actually transfer some of our scholars, but that was a great, great investment on those 2 vans, Superintendent Jolly. So kudos to you.
Yeah, and I just want to, the van, and I appreciate the board approving the van driver. Again, that's a new position that we didn't have, but us purchasing the van will reduce our transportation costs. We paid a lot of money to transport our special needs students internally because of IP state. They have door-to-door service. So with us internalizing that process, it will make things make it more economical for our district and allow us to save resources. Our first van is running. We did have a bus driver with he had the certification, he met the requirements, and he was already here. So we have one van that's running currently. So we hope with this, within 30 days, we can have our second one going every day.
Any other comments? If none, we don't have anything on item 7 or 8. We can go to new business. And the reason I asked if we could add the OSBA nomination to tonight's agenda, I knew it was time for us to do the volunteer and all of those awards, and we hadn't heard anything as of yet. So I did. I reached out to Reno Contepelli to see if we still had time to do a nomination from our district. And at that point, he shared that Mrs. Elba had already completed a nomination for classified employee of the year. And I just wanted to see if we as a board could discuss when we would bring, if we could, learn, if the board will know who the employee was, and then when we can decide when we can bring them here so we can celebrate the nomination and then being awarded.
So she was going to attend this evening. She has no desire to come to a board meeting. It was really like pulling teeth for me, Mr. Jolly, and several people to get her here. So let me just say this. We had our regional meeting 2 weeks ago while I was not here. And at that time, we go over things as we prepare for a capital conference, the fall conference, and any new policies and procedures that are being passed down from the region to the local boards. There are about 35 to 40 of us on this thing. So I was told while we were sitting there that Warrensville's Board of Education was going to be nominated for board team at our fall conference. So I asked, what do we do to deserve that? And it was not academics, but it was basically because this past year, 2 members got a master board, 1 member got a board of achievement, 1 board member serves on the FRN, 1 serves on caucus, 1 serves on the SALT committee. And so on October the 2nd, the Board of Education is going to be awarded for that. And then at that time, while we were sitting there, I was also told to say that, make sure you guys leave your knives at home. Because, yes, because they know how our board, is. And, at that time also, it was stated that they were looking for a classified board, classified member. And that anybody from our region any board member from our region could nominate. So while I contemplated on that because of all of the strife from last year, I had a conversation with the treasurer and the superintendent about nominating this person because of all the work that she has done in the district. She's been here for about 40 years. She started out in the rec center. She has been the secretary. She does the food pantry. She does, she has probably worked with anybody who has attended Warrensville as a student. She does a lot in the community. She was just working at the festival. Anything you ask her to do, she's basically doing it. So I did have a conversation with her today, and she told me she was gonna come, but she told me not to hold her to it. And so, as I see, because I asked her to be here at 7:30, she's not here. But she will be recognized on October the 2nd, and that person is Mrs. Fanny Dean. The flowers are for Miss Dean because I was hoping that she would attend, but unfortunately she didn't. But she is still going to be recognized on October the 2nd. So that's where we're at with that.
Hence, where is the recognition going to be held at?
It is going to be held at the Galaxy in Wadsworth, Ohio.
And make sure she gets all the way
Right.
Oh, she'll be in attendance there. We've already had that.
So there's one challenge, though. October 2nd is our normal board meeting.
I will be at the regional meeting. I won't be here.
I fully understand, Ms. Elba, but we all would like the chance to celebrate. We tend to get left out of this particular, I'm speaking, please. We tend to get left out of this particular opportunity to submit volunteer names and other options, and I think we're all fine with Ms. Dean. I mean, Ms. Dean has actually been here longer than 40 years. She was here when Ray and I were in high school.
Correct.
We have all grown up with Ms. Dean. So it's amazing individual to recognize. And I think we'd all like to be able to celebrate her. So if the board is in agreement, we may look to change the meeting night so that we can
That's fine.
attend that celebration.
Sorry, I mean,
So let me say this, I don't set the date for the fall conference.
I fully understand.
And generally, the way it works with the nominations, people who sit on the regional committee, it's kind of like a perk if you nominate somebody. Because there really is a process, a long drawn-out process that they want boards to follow, thanks to one of our board members. And it goes through a screening process, and it's screened by people outside of the Northeast region. It's generally screened by either the Southeast, the Southwest, or something to that effect. And so there's not a chance that anybody from the district will get us selected because it's a process. I just went through and I screened 30 applications for the Southeast region because that's my job. And to see all of those applications to come in, and it's people that I don't even know. So to screen that, so some people make a big deal about this every year, and Mr. Jolly, this is why we had this conversation. So that's where it all stemmed from. So Mrs. Dean is going to be honored if you guys want to change the date. She'll be there with her guests. The flowers are for Miss Dean. Thank you, Ms. Thompson, for coming, thinking that she was going to be here. But other than that.
Okay. And I do, for the sake of the audience, all the members of NEO, they are fellow board members here in Northeast Ohio, and they're our cohorts. So as I was a new board member trying to understand how that nomination process works, it is a perk of being on the committee, but other boards across the state, actually, all 4 regions, they bring the nomination forms back to their boards, and it's discussed as a board on who the board would like to nominate. And while we've never had an issue, even though it's been portrayed differently with anybody that was selected, because the folks that have been selected in the past have been near and dear to all of us as we've grown up in this community. We just would like an opportunity as a unit with 5 people, 1 voice, to have input into the nomination process. But again, Ms. Dean is an amazing person to nominate this, so we do want to celebrate her. We want to celebrate her heartily. I'd like to ask for that night, that October 2nd, if we could move our meeting to that Monday. That would be,
October 1st?
it would be September 30th.
The only thing, we should all be.
We'll be back home from the conference.
I won't.
My only concern is I'm flying back on Sunday, and if anything happens and the flight is delayed, it could make it a struggle.
Are you talking about Cube? What are we talking about?
Q.
Yeah, can we do Tuesday?
That's city council.
But that has nothing to do with us.
I'm okay with that.
I understand that, but there's some of us that, we attend the meetings at the local city councils, and we attend them all the time, not just during election season. So I just want to make sure that we understand if we do it, if Tuesday the 1st is okay, it's fine by me.
Can we do the Thursday? Is that good for everybody?
There's something going on Thursday night.
We were invited by, and I was gonna say this in new business, but WVIZ wants to do a story on the district and the city, so we'll be talking to the city also. They're coming here and they want to interview community members, board members, council people. It's a part of a series of, it's called Ideas, Sounds, and Ideas of the Community. And that's going to be on
The 3rd.
the
Yeah.
4th, the 3rd, I believe.
I think you had included that in one of your
Yeah, it is.
weekly updates as well. You just didn't have the dates.
Hey, Kayla, what's the exact date on the calendar? October 3rd.
October 3rd.
So I'm okay with
What time is that?
the
It's
2nd.
gonna be at 6 o'clock I believe it's gonna be at the library. So invitations will be going out.
Oh, okay.
So could we do the meeting, if everyone is fine with the meeting on the 1st, which is a Tuesday?
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine.
I'm good with that.
Michelle, will you be back from Cuba at that time? Can I have a motion on the floor then that we will officially change our school board meeting that would normally be held on October 2nd to Tuesday, October 1st? And actually, it's a work session,
Oh, even.
so let's see if it goes on a regular meeting. Yep. So if I, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Motion, I'm sorry. I move that this board change the regular meeting, the work session meeting from October 2nd
Yes.
to October 1st, Tuesday, October 1st.
Thank you.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, thank you, board. It's been moved, it's been approved 5-0, so thank you very much for that. Mr. Jolly, you said that you wanted to go into a little more detail on the
Yes.
October 3rd event?
Yes, the sounds and ideas of the city on the community tour. The first one was done in Lorraine when the academic takeover happened. So they called us and wanted to do a district that overcame the takeover. So we had one conversation with them. It was Kat and myself, and they gave us some parameters of like who to invite, counsel, whoever. So we'll have another follow-up conversation hopefully next week. So we'll be able to give more details. But we do know it'll be October 3rd at 6 p.m. at the library. And everything else we will be able to provide later.
I just thought about something. We've got to get tickets for the dinner, for the gala.
Are you gonna pay for Ms. Dean, or should we pay for that? Do you guys wanna pay for that, or should we get that outside? Sure,
Yes.
$35?
it's $40.
Oh, $40.
We understand.
Sorry.
$40.
I understand. We'll need a motion on the floor so that we can approve Dr. Rock to go ahead and purchase. Is everyone from the board going to attend on the 2nd?
Yes, I'm a 10.
Yes.
So Dr. Rock, I'm sorry, but we need a motion on the floor to not only purchase our tickets for Mrs. Dean's as well.
Are we paying for 2 for Mrs. Dean?
Is she bringing a +1?
I'm sure she is.
If,
She may not.
let's put the caveat in the vote that we will confirm with her that she's bringing a +1. If she does, we will purchase the +1. If not, there will not be a +1 purchase. So if we can,
Ms. Dean.
Also,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can we, the board, do a formal invitation to Ms. Dean
Yes,
to come to a
please.
meeting?
So she-
I mean,
Yes.
the formal, so she can come. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that
Thank
would be
you.
nice.
You gonna put them up?
We'll put the motion on the floor.
Which one is this one for?
Ticket.
Tickets.
Okay, I'd like to, I move that the board pays for tickets for Mrs. Dean and one guest, if applicable.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes. Motion passed 5-0. At this time, our agenda is complete.
Excuse me, I have one thing that I want to mention.
Go ahead.
So, going back to the meeting, the regional meeting that I just attended, just an FYI, so for you all and anybody else, let me just give you some history. In 2009, at one time, Highland Hills wanted the students of Highland Hills to attend schools in Beechwood. And they tried to do a petition, and it did not go anywhere. So the state budget bill that just passed in Ohio on June the 30th now will allow cities to segregate and separate so they can go to any school district that they want to. So Highland Hills, if they decided to separate from Warrensville, they can go to Beechwood, Shaker, wherever, North Randall, if they wanted to go to Maple, Bedford, or whatever, they have that opportunity. All they have to receive is a certain amount of petitions, and it moves forward. It's now occurring in 2 school districts, Jeffersonville and Plain Local. So it will go into effect on September 30th. So that, just so any and everybody is interested will know that.
What is there a hospital number for that?
It's under the state budget bill that was just passed June 30th. So, OSBA is working to try to see if a resolution can be done to stop it, but as of now, it cannot be stopped. So, Jeffersonville and Plain Local are losing a tremendous amount of students, which is gonna affect their funding, but there's nothing that they can do about it as of September 30th. So that is that, so.
Yeah, in conjunction, the first ring is very active in that. They're paying attention to that because, you know, Bedford has that situation with Walton Hills. There's some other places, I think Cleveland has some areas too, that can be affected by that. I think our effect with Highland is very small. I think Highland, we only got 14 students from Highland currently. I was aware, because in this Beechwood situation, it was 2 times that Highland tried to go over there. It was 2009 and 2006, where they entertained some conversations with Beechwood to try to go to Beechwood. But it's only 14 students right now. And we'll monitor it. I know with Mayor Booker, is the mayor, I believe he's solid and with us and is not looking to leave. So, but that is something the first ring is really looking at because it can affect a lot of us. And with us having Highland and Beechwood, it could have some effect on us also.
President Mitchell, could I just add one thing about the nomination for the board from the Northeast region? It's your colleagues. You're on their radar. They're seeing you getting all these achievements and participation. So I think it's a notable nomination. And even in my career, 17 years, I've never had a board that I worked for in 17 years that was nominated for Board of the Year. So I think it's a great nomination for you. And these are your colleagues, other board members that are members of the Ohio School Boards Association that is organized for school board members. It's not organized for superintendents and treasurers or administrators. It's school board members that are recognizing your efforts and dedication and loyalty to the district. So I think it's a very high mark, and it's a great nomination for the board, and I'm very proud.
I thank you for sharing. I do want to thank you for sharing that because it helps, again, provide clarity and transparency to the community because I had even forgotten that our colleagues do that nomination. So it is a great accomplishment. So I do appreciate you for sharing that.
Lastly, I just want another accomplishment for the board. The passing of those 2 resolutions today was very significant because we got to the end of this process with these new buildings. This is over a 45-year journey to obtain new facilities for Warrensville Heights. I would like to say and thank first Mr. Burks. He was part of the board that started the process, gave us the go-ahead to go, and then this board for their hard work, their commitment, their dedication for going out here getting $68 million, really $110 million against all odds, against all of the negativity, against the report card, all that stuff, and this board finished the deal, and you can see the products of the work. So I just our employees to give, and anybody that's watching, give this board a round of applause because they did a great job.
So, my final thing is that, the president of the school board, he sits on our regional committee, they actually did a resolution for the, resolution to repeal Ohio school takeover. And so they're asking that everyone, all the school districts in Ohio repeal it. So because of the school district, because the state cannot come up with a House Bill 70, a House Bill, the Senate Bill 166, or anything to that nature, this year, every school district in Ohio gets a free pass, which means no matter what grade they get on the test, it's a free pass. So anybody that was gonna be taken over this year is not gonna be taken over this year, so they'll have in essence possibly a fourth year. So, I will pass on the resolution that, the attorneys at OSBA has already gone through, and we just have to change the name from the school that is on there to our current school district.
So will we be putting that on our next agenda or the October agenda?
Well, it doesn't matter when we put it on there, we just have to send a copy, when we're done with it, so I don't care when it goes on.
So if you can get it to us for the next agenda, we can go ahead and get that taken care of. All right, if there's nothing else, Mr. Jolly, announcements, we got football season
Yeah,
starting.
Open house next week, all schools start Monday. That's it, ready to go.
All right. I can have a motion on the floor to adjourn Wednesday, August 21st, regular meeting.
Madam Chair, I'd like to adjourn our Wednesday, August 21st, 2019 regular meeting.
May I have a second?
I second.
Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator?
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mrs. Elba?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks.